This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman and Riley Smith. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Friday, July 1st, 2022. We're so glad you can join us today. In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I talk with Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Glisan about the recent U.S. Drought Monitor and how that looks for Iowa farmers. We also take a look at the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of the trading day for this Friday, July 1st, and going into the July 4th weekend, a long weekend, and a little bit of a break for us all here. Of course, there's still some last-minute stuff going on, as Jacob is familiar with today. So, of course, we're talking today with Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. Jacob, what do we see in the markets today?
Some people will label this as a bloodbath in the bean market, and that's kind of what it was. It was a very, very negative day. The grain markets, along with some of these other inflationary commodities such as cocoa and cotton and gold and silver, and a major deflationary play, if you will. Now we saw a lot of money coming into the marketplace over the last year. We saw money pumped into the economy. The interest rates rallying, the funds wanting to take money back out of their inflationary hedge, and I think this is a big part of what's going on. That's really the only logical explanation to see this type of move in all this marketplace. But looking straight at the corn market, you're still seeing some of these spread plays in the front months that'll make you scratch your head. We saw the report come out yesterday. Quarterly stocks showed that the commodities, the corn market anyway, is mostly held in the farmers' hands. They've been cash strong throughout this, and they're having to pay up to get that corn shaken out of there. But you're seeing the spread between July and September to go as wide as $1.30 now. So that's a unique situation that we have going on there. Traded down below the 200-day moving average in the corn. We looked at some comparison. My colleague there, Brian Splitt, made a good point on cotton this morning that we traded well below that, and it looks like we may even be pushing lower through this 200-day moving average in the corn, and we haven't tested it yet in the beans. But just an ugly day. 60 cents lower. New crop traded below $14. Your wheat market held on as long as it could, and later on in the day we sold off down 43 cents in the wheat market. But all in all, focus on the weather. Looking at some model, GFS model came out this around noon, said that to put some more rain back into the forecast. So you're seeing some decent chances for rain, a lot of dryness areas, and we need to see that. That's the first thing people will look at come Tuesday morning is how much rain do we get and what does that forecast look like.
Right, and that's something interesting you bring up is trying to find logic in what's been a pretty illogical marketplace recently, especially those reports which were not necessarily too crazy, and then we have a down day after that. When do we think that maybe we'll get back to more of a kind of a solely weather market, especially as we go into pollination?
Riley, we'll get to that as soon as we get to the lows. Now you just tell me where that's at, and so we'll start trading logic, and that's it's an old saying that the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And you may have the right idea here on this side of the trade that we need to be up higher and we need to ration out some of this demand still. But the matter of fact is the irrational trade right now is taking place. I mean, it looks like all the buyers went home for that early 4th of July weekend today. But yeah, you're right. I mean, take a look at the beans. The bean market right now is probably the one that'll make you question everything the most. Is you saw an acreage number that they're going to be resurveying 15 million acres. And that were assumed to be planted. They'll come in, resurvey that, potentially find out that maybe they didn't get in. With all that acres, we went lower than the lowest analyst guess. that, and then we make new highs. We go up, touch some resistance levels, and man, we were taking out over $1 now in 24 hours. So that'll make you scratch your head in this marketplace. Does it mean that we were just overpriced? Maybe so. But I think that this is a very, very, very good market to make you realize that having some protection in place, taking advantage of opportunity when it arises, is a very good idea.
All right, and what do we see on the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex?
Well, I think the feeder cattle traded kind of like you expect when you see big downward days in the corn market. We traded buck higher in August, and September was $1.45 higher, trading around that 177 level. That actually made new lows for the month of June, or excuse me, new highs for the month of June. That alone in the September contract traded above this 100-day moving average that we kind of kept an eye on. That's been a pretty good resistance level. Didn't close above it, closed right at it. But that's a very positive thing for the feeder cattle. Live cattle, you've seen box beef stay pretty steady. You've seen a large difference between the cash and the August contract, as we've seen a lot of placements. This August cattle are coming forward right now, but it's still traded pretty positively in the face of this deflationary haze. So that's one thing that I've kind of looked at from all these commodities are taking it, but the food, the protein in the marketplace is still staying pretty strong. It sounds like in going through this post 4th of July demand situation, these packers will be taking a really close eye to how much they're going to be killing, how much they're going to be putting into cold storage. So hog market 87 cents higher, traded kind of okay. That was just something that we've seen that cutout stay pretty steady as well. So not a lot of change there.
All right, Jacob, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and our watchers who would like to learn more and get in touch with the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
We got a pretty good deal, Riley, that they can log on there to the website and just take a 30-day free trial of our ag market intel. You are going to get a plethora of information. We've got some really good twice a week webinars, all that good stuff. But I think that you'll find that trial of a good way to look at us. Go to agmarket.net. You can look us up there if you want to talk to me directly. 608-384-5438. Have a good 4th.
Yeah. It was great talking with you today, and yeah, have a great 4th of July weekend.
All right, take care.
That again was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. At the close, July corn is up 10 3/4 at 754 1/2. December corn down 12 1/4 at 607 1/2. July soybeans down 49 even at 1626 even. November soybeans down 62 3/4 at 1395 1/4. Soybean meal down 13.40 at 422.10. Soy oil down 258 at 64.43. Chicago wheat down 37 1/2 at 831 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 40 1/4 at 949 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 37 3/4 at 911 even. And July oats down 11 even at 650 1/4. On the Merc, August live cattle up 202 at 134.60. August feeder cattle up 90 at 174.50. Lean hogs up 47 at 109.60. Pork cutout up $1.25 at 108.32. And Class 3 milk down 9 cents at 22.44. And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Justin Glisan about the U.S. Drought Monitor. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. I had the chance recently to talk with Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Justin Glisan with a bit of analysis on the U.S. Drought Monitor, what that means for Iowa, and what farmers can expect moving forward. Well, it's about time we take another look at the most recent U.S. Drought Monitor, specifically for Iowa. So we have Dr. Justin Glisan, the Iowa State Climatologist, with us today. Justin, what did that latest report look like?
Hey, Riley, nice to be with you. So yes, we did see an expansion of drought across northwestern Iowa, that D1, moderate to severe category, D2. We also saw the introduction of D3, severe drought. the first introduction since August of last year. So we saw that introduction of D3 basically around Sioux City, so South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, a little corner there, because of longer-term precipitation deficits. If we go back 2 years, we have precipitation deficits within that vicinity of anywhere from 15 to 25 inches below average. So you couple that with the warmer temperatures that we've had recently, along with lack of rainfall in northwestern Iowa, we see an exacerbation of those precipitation deficits and hence an expansion of drought.
Right, and we've had a little bit of a good amount of variability across the state when it comes to weather. Like we said, we've got a corner of the state that's doing a bit with drought, but like Southwest Iowa's been hit by storms and everything, and some places are even getting more rain than they need. So what's the rest of the state looking at aside from drought?
Yep, so we've seen abnormally dry, that D0 category, start to creep in southeastern Iowa, even on the eastern periphery, on the Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin border, and then a little pocket in southwestern Iowa. This is where we're seeing shorter term precipitation deficits, basically 30 to 60 days. But yeah, variability, a great word there. The haves and the have-nots. We've seen showers and thunderstorms in parts of the state that don't need the 4 to 5 inches that they're getting over 24 or 48 hours. We're seeing some severe weather, more hail and high wind reports versus only 3 tornadoes for May and June, and that's very below average. We almost expect 15 to 20 tornadoes over those 2 months. So lack of severe weather across the state means a lack of rainfall and goes hand in hand with that drought expansion. So we would definitely like to see more widespread rainfalls, but this time of year it's thunderstorm driven, and that's where you see a lot of variability.
Right, and what are we looking for in the forecast for maybe the next week or so? Especially, we're getting into the pollination period, so we're going to want to have that weather kind of cooperate a little more.
Yes, absolutely. So there is a silver lining there with the delayed planting of 2 to 3 weeks. We've actually pushed tasseling and pollination further into July on the corn side, but also the physiological maturity of soybeans really likes cooler weather and climatologically expected or slightly above average rainfall. So if we look at the next 7 days, we're actually seeing a good signal for at least 3/4 of an inch statewide, up to 2 inches from basically southwestern Iowa up through northeastern Iowa. So if you think of the southern to southeastern 2/3 of the state, pretty good chances of measurable rainfall that would help keep drought conditions status quo. Now that northeast corner, we're seeing slightly below what we're seeing for the rest of the state. But again, these thunderstorms are variable, so we could see a pattern set up in which we do see rainfall in the corner of the state that we really need it the most in western Iowa. If we look at the short-term outlooks, 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day, getting us into the second week of July, we're still seeing that elevated shot at warmer temperatures, 80s, 90s, potentially higher humidities, which help reduce moisture stress on corn and beans. But also that wet signal persists as well. So an elevated signal for wetter than normal conditions for much of the state, and especially in the next 6 to 10 day time frame. So hopefully the 7-day outlooks or the 7-day forecast with those shorter term outlooks come to fruition and we get those much needed rainfalls.
Right, and it's interesting that you mentioned that the rain at this time of year is driven by those thunderstorm events and those severe weather events, which can be a blessing and a curse, because if we get too much of that storm, you don't want to get damage on the crops, but you also need the rain from those storm events as well, right?
Right. Luckily, when we do see those thunderstorms set up, they're mostly discrete. So meaning that the hail cores or the severe wind gusts that they can put down are not on the scale of the derecho that we had on August 10th, but more isolated. So you would see on a visible satellite days after a hail core would have gone through, let's say, southwestern Iowa, as happened on June 7th, you see a sliver of a scar across the vegetation, but that's basically where we saw shredded corn and beans from these hailstones. So more isolated, but if you're a farmer that experiences that severe weather, it's not good. So more isolated, but yes, definitely can still put more damage down.
All right, Justin. Well, do you have any advice for farmers who are kind of keeping an eye on the weather situation and figuring out how to deal with what could come in the future?
Yeah, so weather stress is out there. We're getting into the teeth of the growing season. We really need those timely rainfalls to hold the crop on as we do get into the warmest 2 months, July and August. So, in terms of drought monitoring, send me those on the field, on the ground observations, cracked soil, rolling corn, soybean leaves flipped over. That allows us to do a better job of getting our recommendation to the U.S. Drought Monitor. If we do get into an extended dry period, which we're not seeing in the longer term climate models, we do see an elevated signal for drier conditions, but a lot of things have to come into play for a persistent dry signal to take hold. But if we do get into that type of situation, our federal and state programs have implications on the U.S. Drought Monitor depiction. So having on-the-ground observations that match up with our modeling and precipitation departures really helps us do a better job for our farmers and stakeholders.
Right, and for those farmers who would like to learn more and get more of that climate information, where can they go to find that?
So Google Iowa Climatology Bureau. It'll bring you to the Iowa Department of Agriculture's Climatology Bureau site. Has all kinds of old records, current monthly outlooks, current seasonal outlooks, the U.S. Drought Monitor, soil moisture, moisture percentiles, departures, how dry we're getting, how wet we are in certain parts of the state, anything you would ever need on that weather or climate side. And if you can't find it, my contact information is on the site. Always happy to chat, always happy to answer emails to get the best information out to our farmers.
All right, Justin, great talking with you today, and we'll make sure to catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, Riley. Always nice to be with you.
That again was Iowa State Climatologist Dr. Justin Glisan. Now let's take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, throughout the day here in Des Moines, we've seen some sporadic showers. As Avery said when she came in, it was downpour for a little bit. Otherwise, there's just been a little bit of sprinkling or not much at all. Of course, other parts of the state have seen some pretty good rains today. Southwest Iowa got a good amount earlier on, a bit of light rain, and that rain could continue into the weekend. So let's take a look at what the National Weather Service has for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, we could get some rain on those 4th of July parades. Today we've got variably sunny skies with scattered showers and a slight chance for storms. Temps range from the upper 70s to upper 80s. Tonight will be mostly clear with a chance for thunderstorms overnight. Lows should range from the low to mid 60s. Tomorrow there'll be a little bit of sun, but a good chance for thunderstorms across the state. Highs will be in the upper 70s to mid 80s. Looking at the affiliate weather map right now, as you can see for tomorrow, Cherokee will see a chance for storms with a high of 83. Shenandoah should see storms and a high around 79. Des Moines, storms likely with a high of 82. Albia, a chance for storms and 81. Waterloo be partly sunny, changing later to storms and a high of 85. And Clinton is looking to be mostly sunny with a high of 85. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure you check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can find our video content and previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Avery Haskell and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching, and we wish you a happy 4th of July weekend. This has been Ag Matters PM.